It was early one morning at a hotel breakfast in Hesse that I had the pivotal conversation with George E. Lewis, that sweltering summer of 2018. We were both teaching at the Darmstadt Summer Course, a biennial happening in provincial southwest Germany that started up after the Second World War and has become an improbable new music mecca. Lewis, an African-American composer, trombonist, and intellectual powerhouse, was a generous and jovial presence around campus that year with his resplendent chuckle and inspirational lectures on decolonizing the canon. I was, meanwhile, attempting to teach a bunch of fierce-minded students how to write about new music. Their conclusion: grab the subject by both shoulders, use words with wit and abandon. They were wonderful. On the last morning of seminars, over rye bagels and coffee, I finally summoned the courage to ask Lewis's advice about a notion I'd been mulling over for a while. "George," I ventured, "I'm thinking of writing some sort of new history of 20th-century composers. I don't mean the usual suspects. I mean composers who get left out. What do you reckon?" Anyone who's been in Lewis's company will recognize what came next. He nodded a breezy nod, the sort of nod that says, "No big deal. What are you waiting for?" "Sure," he said, taking a bite out of his bagel. "Someone's got to write that book. It's way overdue. You should do it." But I argued against my own case. Isn't the proposition too vague, too vast, too reductive, too... "Why should it be?" he shrugged. "Choose some interesting composers who don't make it into the mainstream history books. Tell their stories. Prove that they were all doing amazing stuff. Prove that they existed. Make your readers want to hear their music. What's reductive about that? Oh, it's time." With that, he drained his coffee and left me to it. Tell their stories. As a kid growing up in a cottage in rainy rural Scotland, I became obsessed with classical music. Who can say why exactly, given 5 of my 6 brothers are folk musicians, but classical music is what caught my tiny ear. I fixated on the sounds emerging from the kitchen radio, ever tuned to BBC Radio 3, and from the family tape collection, which, alongside Bob Dylan and Planxty, included Mozart's late symphonies, Bach's Brandenburg concertos, and the thrillingly titled compilation The Greatest Hits of the 17th Century.